You know what this is. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, I'm JK and this is JK is Hiking, where I am all about backpacking, hiking, and gear. And today we're going to talk about some of my favorite gear, and that's my cook kit. It seems these days that people are getting lighter and lighter and lighter when it comes to cooking in the backcountry. And quite honestly, I'm the same way. I don't want to carry a lot of extra weight with me when I know that there are lightweight options out there that I can use to make my backpacking experience that much better. And so today I want to share with you guys my cook kit and what I use when I go out on the trail. Basically, when I'm out on the trail, I've got this right here. I think we've all seen these before. This is that very familiar Toaks orange koozie that goes around your Toaks pot. For me, I like using the Toaks 750 milliliter titanium pot. I love this thing. It weighs next to nothing. I'm going to put the weights right down here so that you guys can see exactly how much this weighs, but it's just so lightweight and it's so easy to use. You've got these little handles that can come out. I like to take the koozie, the little orange koozie that comes with it, so I can always pick up my pot by that. Makes it so much easier using this. Another thing I love about this pot is the strainer top. If you look right there, you can see there's just some strainer holes right there in the bottom of the pot. Those strainer holes are great because if you're doing ramen or anything, you can literally, when you get done, take it and just drain your water straight out of the top of this pot. I love that little feature. It makes it really easy to drain that out. Personally, I'm not a ramen noodle soup kind of guy. I just want the noodles. And so I like to be able to drain that water out, and having those 3 holes there is fantastic for that. Another thing I love about the Toaks pot is this little handle on the top. You can literally just stick that up, sit it across, and it will not fall. It'll stay up. So you're guaranteed that you can pick that thing up, not burn your hand off in the process. When you're out in the backcountry and trying to boil water, it's always quicker to put that lid on top. But when you do and that thing isn't up, you're going to burn your hand trying to get this lid off. And so it's always nice to be able to have that little spot right there where all you got to do is pull that right off. I also love that this is 750 milliliters because for me, especially at breakfast time, I use a little extra water because I like to have oatmeal in the mornings. I do like a hot breakfast when I get up. And so I have a little bit of oatmeal and some coffee, and I can boil all the water for both in this and still have a little bit of room left. It's also nice because you can boil enough water for 2 people in this thing for dinners, which is great if you're camping with someone who's new to camping and they have no idea what to bring. You can bring this and take care of the hot water for both of you, which will lighten the load a little bit for your friend as they're learning how to backpack. And if they're like most beginner backpackers, they're probably carrying too much stuff. And by you being the one carrying the cook kit, you're probably going to help them out just a little bit. Needless to say, the Toaks Titanium 750 milliliter pot is my go-to, and I don't see that changing anytime in the near future. I'm also a big fan of the Toaks long-handled Spork. Now, though a lot of people like to use the spoon, I'm a Spork fan, especially if I'm eating pasta. It's just easier to get in there and grip that stuff and pull it out. But I love this little guy. Again, very lightweight, hardly weighs anything. And it's fantastic when you're trying to get into those mountain house meals or backpacker's pantry or anything like that, because you can get in there and not worry about getting that food all over your hands. I didn't realize how important it was to have a long-handled Spork until I had a short-handled one, and I bought my first mountain house meal and realized I can't get to the bottom of that thing without getting food all over my hands, which is twice the amount of water to clean all that up that it should be. I also like the polished end on this thing. I had a Sea to Summit Spork that I used for about 1.5 years, and it was all right, but it always felt weird eating your food on it. It didn't feel like silverware because it was a little rough. This is more like eating off of silverware that you'd have in your house. It's smooth, it doesn't feel weird, it doesn't have a strange texture to it, and for some people that's no big deal, but for me, I just genuinely prefer the polished end. I also have the BRS stove. Got this off Amazon about a year and a half ago for like $17. This thing weighs less than an ounce and it gets the job done. I absolutely love this thing. It's super easy to use. It lights up every single time. It does have some little quirks to it, I will say that. Sometimes when you go to turn down the flame, sometimes it'll burst up real quick and you'll have a little bit of a flame that'll pop out of that. But that's about the only quirk I have with this thing. After using it quite a bit, I can see some discoloration on it, but I haven't had some of the problems I've heard other people talk about. I know a lot of people who have used the BRS have said that they've seen the metal melt a little bit or bend when it gets super hot. For me personally, I've never seen that. This thing has been great as far as just really getting the job done. It boils water quickly. My food's always taken care of. I haven't seen it use up as much gas as I've heard other people say that it uses. It's a very simple thing to use. And like I said, you cannot beat the weight for this thing. It's a fully functional stove that weighs less than an ounce and costs less than $20. You just can't beat that for the price and for the weight. Another little piece of gear that I like to use is this GSI pot holder. I know a lot of people don't use these. They'll use a handkerchief or they'll use a towel or something to pick up their pot. But I really like this. It again, weighs next to nothing. If you're like me, I'm notorious for forgetting to put out the handles on my pot. I leave them folded up against the pot and then my water's boiled and I can't pick the thing up. So it's nice to have this so I can stick that over the pot, pick it up and pull it off without burning my hands. It adds little to no weight at all to your system. Plus I use it in my pot when I put everything away to hold my lighter. It's just a nice little piece of gear. Again, hardly any weight, but for me, because of my boneheadedness when I'm out on the trail and always forgetting to pull out the handles on my pot, this thing is borderline invaluable to me when I'm out backpacking. Another thing I always have with me is my Bic mini lighter. I know I've seen so many videos and it seems like everybody uses these things and everybody uses a blue one. I don't know what the deal is with the blue one. I guess everybody just likes blue. I mean, the blue one is kind of popular, I guess. I've had this same little Bic mini lighter for over a year now. I've used it for all of the Sheltowee Trace hikes I've done and even some of my other little small backpacking trips that I've had. This lighter never fails me. It's been submerged in water. It has been in freezing temperatures. It's been all over the place, and this guy performs every time. So I love this little lighter. I always bring these with me, and I still have an extra one because I'm just that guy that doesn't trust anything. I keep an extra one in my medical kit just to be safe, also to sterilize a needle in case I have to pop a blister. But this little guy right here will always be in my cook kit. Another thing I always carry with me is this small little towel. Now right now it's kind of gross looking because I just came off the trail this past weekend and it's got like some food remains and things like that on it. But I use this little guy right here to get in and clean out my pot every time I use it. I also use it to dry it out. And what's great about this is a body cloth by a company called Norwex. It's made of 70% polyester and 30% polyamide. I don't know what polyamide is. I genuinely have no clue what that is. It's a great towel though. I use this all the time to clean up my pot at the end of a meal, get in and dry it out, make sure that there's no moisture left in it. I can usually leave this sitting out. It dries insanely quick and it's super soft to the touch. Just a great little towel. Hardly weighs anything. It's just like the rest of this stuff. It really just doesn't weigh much at all, but it's really good at getting the job done for getting my pot cleaned out. And there's one last thing I always put in my cook pot. It's one of these things. This is a Silica Pouch. I put it in there to prevent any kind of moisture from getting into my pot and potentially rusting my fuel canister. The last thing I want to do is get rust inside of my pot. There's nothing more disgusting than eating food that tastes like rust. Plus, it's not all that healthy for you. So I always keep one of these in my pot just to prevent any excess moisture from causing any kind of problems for me. What does your cook kit look like? Does it look like that? Is it much different? I'd love to hear your comments below. Leave a comment. Let me know what it is you use when you're out in the backcountry. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and then hit the notification bell so you get reminded every time one of these videos comes out. I love getting conversations going with you guys about what you're doing in the backcountry, and I look forward to talking to you next time.